Hello, I'm Joshua of Milestone Play. I am a professional game master, and today we have another walkthrough build of a TTRPG prop. The prop that we're going to be building today is the map I used in my Sage's Sabbatical games of GenCon 2024. Now, these games were inspired by DreamWorks' The Road to El Dorado, where the characters equally get a map that has locations marked all across it. They have interesting encounters along the way and eventually get to their destination of El Dorado. Taking that inspiration, we have a map that is not covered in roads and rivers, but rather a bunch of locations, a bunch of landmarks. And as with the movie, each of these landmarks has some interesting encounter to go along with it. As the player characters make their way from location to location, they get to choose which adjacent location they want to go to, and they will eventually begin to get more information as they solve their way through this adventure. That way they can make informed decisions on where they want to go to and what locations they really should avoid. Now, this map is not that difficult to make, and there's a couple reasons for that. First of all of these prop making videos I make for you, I want you to make the build. You don't have to be a good craftsperson to make any of these things. I want you to be able to make the prop, make the terrain, make the creature, whatever it is, and go have fun with your friends. These are not supposed to be horribly complex builds. They're supposed to be things that you can do that are still really cool, really awesome. Now, the other half of the reason why this isn't horribly complex is I needed to make a bunch of these. With 3 different games, 6 seats available at each game, that's a minimum of 18 maps I had to make. Not counting possibly wanting to keep a map or having a couple extras. That way if I make a mistake, that, there's quality control, and then you don't want the last player to have the last map. You want them to have a choice of overall aesthetic as well. So yeah, I had to make a lot of these. And so watching this video, you won't necessarily be making this exact map for the exact reasons I made it, but hopefully you'll be able to take the techniques I used to make this map and make something for yourself, make something for your players that is equally as fun, equally as innovative, and maybe you do make this exact map, or maybe you learn from my mistakes, learn from my ideas, and hopefully have something good at the end of this. Or a little bit astray, but yeah. Typical prop making video of you can make this, but also I don't know why you would want to make 20 odd copies of this unless you're also running a bunch of the same game over and over. Let's get to the build. To start off, we're going to need a base for our map. I am using some cardstock poster board from Walmart because it was cheap. This poster board is twice the size that we need. Making a giant map sounds fun, but that is also a lot of space that we need to fill with a lot of content, and a lot of content takes a lot of time at the table that we just don't have. Cutting the boards down will make everything more manageable. Now that the map base is to size, we need to tea stain the paper to make the map overall look better. In most cases, tea staining should be the first part of a process. If you try to do it later, anything written down or drawn on the pages will be blurred and destroyed. I have a ton of staining to do, so I got a large storage crate for the paper, and then boiled an entire box of tea in a pot. While the work tub and the large amount of tea was great for the size of the poster boards and the amount of work I had to do, I don't recommend trying to stain all of the sheets at the same time. Cohesion keeps the tea from permeating the layers of the cardstock. You will still have to individually separate the layers and make sure the tea is touching everything. It's best just to do a few pieces at a time. Once they've darkened, you'll want to lay them out or hang them up to dry. One thing to make note of is the dark squares that are showing up on the cardstock. This is where the sticker labels were on the poster board. Whether it's remaining adhesive or the micro tears on the surface letting the tea stain deeper and faster, those ended up on every other board. If you can get cardstock that comes wrapped in a sealed pack without the stickers on them, you can avoid this issue. Otherwise, just make sure it's on the back of the project, or you can size your map's dimensions away from the stickers. Once the cardstock is dried, we'll move on to the map locations. To allow us to have highly detailed images without having to draw all of them, or really draw at all, we're going to use acrylic stamps. This is where the project goes from, you can do this, to, I don't know why you would. These acrylic stamps come in themed packs for much cheaper than you can get singular wood and rubber stamps. I spent about $20 on these packs to get an assortment of images to make the overall map design, and then another $15 on an ink pad and an acrylic block to stick the stamps to. Upon opening them, the stamps are stuck between 2 sheets of plastic. One side has the black image to see what they look like, and the other side protects the face of the stamp that sticks to the block. For this project, I cut the stamps I wanted to use away from the rest of the packs to make designing the map easier. Once I had all of my puzzle pieces, I could begin to assemble a rough outline of the map. Keeping the stamps in their sandwich of plastic allowed for quick shuffling about to try different designs. Once I knew I had everything I needed, the unneeded stamps could be set aside, which was most of them. This is the point in the video where I acknowledge that despite planning this entire map around using stamps, I had never used acrylic stamps before. This test run of a stamp using the acrylic block was the first time I had actually put a stamp on the block and used it. It worked fine, but it made me realize that doing this one stamp at a time was going to be tedious. Doing one map at a time would require 25 stamp switches, which would take forever and be a mess. Doing one stamp at a time, like an assembly line, would be faster, but would also allow for small mistakes to propagate through all of the maps. In either case, I would constantly need to put effort into placing the stamp in the right location. I needed a faster, cleaner solution. Let me introduce you to that solution. 2 panes of glass from an old picture frame taped together for stability. Joining them is a thicker ink and a roller from a previous block printing project to make inking all of the stamps at once easier and placing them down synchronously. Attaching all the stamps to a single surface allows them to always be positioned the same relative to each other. The whole bundle being a few centimeters off in any direction matters far less than a single stamp being misplaced. In organizing the stamps into their final positions, we are making sure the textured side of the stamp is facing down towards the paper, and the smooth suction cuppy side is pointed upwards. Once everything is aligned, a single press of the glass pane should gather all of them in their exact placements. A quick check of the stamps is followed by a dry run of the flip, mainly to check hand placement and to also make sure I won't be hitting the camera with the motion. From here, we go to a live fire test with the ink. I haven't done a ton of work with block printing, but I do know that you want to make sure that you're evenly coating the roller so you are evenly coating the stamps. This entire project is going to be a game of, do I have enough ink on my plate/stamps? And do I have too much ink on my plate/stamps? But that'll just be the learning curve. Our first attempt is a bit rough. This may be because I didn't use enough ink, it may be because I didn't press evenly enough across the whole surface, but now we know, and we try again. I already have the plan of using the small acrylic block and ink pad to go through and spot correct afterwards, so this is fine. As I continue through the next few attempts, the prints were overall much better. I would also learn that the marsh grass stamp and 1 or 2 others weren't of great quality. The marsh grass had minor undulations in the surface, meaning there were sections of the stamp that simply wouldn't touch the paper, or sometimes even get hit by ink from the roller. Also, using all of these stamps together over such a large area meant that minor height differences across the board could cause localized lack of contact if I wasn't pressing hard enough everywhere. But on the whole, the process worked. Once all of the ink was dried, I sorted through the maps for quality control. Some maps would be more damaged and rustic than others. My plan to use the acrylic block and ink pad to spot correct the areas that were awful also worked really well. Once the stamping was done, we moved on to the final part of map creation. Each map would have invisible ink on it revealed by a black light to highlight the true points of interest in the plot and help the players puzzle together the solution to the one-shot. The 3 colors of ink we have will be used for 3 different purposes. The items marked in blue will be what the party needs to collect. The green around the potion with the crystal in it will highlight how the pieces have to come together. And the orange within the gate will signify the true destination. There will be plenty of plot points and details through the adventure that will provide information, but having these signposts on the map will help aid the players in getting to the finale of the one-shot. One note of warning when adding blacklight visible ink to a project. If the ink is in a ballpoint pen, make sure not to press too hard with the pen. Just because you can't see the ink doesn't mean you can't see the impressions. A light hand is important if you want there to be no trace of drawings or messages on the map. In this case, I wasn't upset if I pressed a little too hard with the pen. Players would likely have so much going on that they wouldn't notice small details. If they did notice, it would just push them to unveiling this secret faster, which is never a bad thing in a limited time one-shot. A final scan of the pages to make sure that no secrets were missed brings us to the end of the project. So yeah, that's the build. I hope you got something out of it, whether you're going to make a map like the one we did, or if you're just going to take an idea from this video and then make something your own, make something innovative, make something for yourself, for your friends, for your players, for your table. I just hope you go and you make something fantastic and fun, and you have a fun time doing it. Thank you for watching the video. It was made with the support of our patrons over on Patreon. If you want to support other videos like this one, or if you want to go see our own TTRPG games that we're developing, we do post every month a little bit of the development of our own games and systems and things like that. And then, as I said at the start of the video, I am a professional game master. So if you're looking to join a game, looking to join something online, see me at an event, anything like that, there are links to my website as well as our Discord down in the description. And I hope to hear from you. Have a lovely